Hello, I'm Trey Johnson with AHA TV. Circulation is doing a special call for submissions, and we have Associate Editors Dr. Mercedes Carnethon and Dr. Carol Watson with us to tell us more.
Mercy, it's great to see you again. Here we are a year later. We had our first disparities themed issue for circulation last year. I was thrilled with the outcome. How did you feel about it?
You know, I agree with you so much, Carol, and it's such a pleasure to work with you on this project again. Last year's inaugural disparities themed issue that focused on the experience of patients of African descent living in the United States, I think really made a big impact and was very responsive to the current climate, where we're really trying to highlight areas where we can promote equity, particularly in cardiovascular health.
And especially, we were looking for things we can do, actionable things. How can we make this better?
Absolutely. So tell me, Carol, what were some of your favorite highlights from last year that you'd love to see carried forward as we move the next issue forward?
You know, what I really loved seeing was data on thinking about incorporating policy and the greater public sort of discussion into our disparities work, the different innovative ways people were addressing disparities and looking at it. And I just thought, I remember all of the submissions we received were fantastic. I learned something from each and every one of them. Unfortunately, we couldn't include them all in the issue, but the submissions we got were so wonderful, varied, and fantastic. And I think as we think about this upcoming issue, we want to encourage everyone to send your work on disparities to us again. And Mercy, you want to tell them exactly which disparities we're looking at this time?
Yes, absolutely. You know, last year we focused our inaugural piece, as I mentioned, on Blacks in the United States and even around the world. This next time, while there's still plenty of material along those same lines, this next time we really want to broaden the focus and again retain what was really a strength of the piece, which was the integration of clinical cardiovascular work with public health. So it really took into account the context of individuals and humans and how they interact with our society, with the many factors that shape cardiovascular health.
We are interested in basic clinical policy, advocacy, whatever you have that you think could be of interest to a broad cardiovascular audience. We'd love to see your submission. This is a time, I feel like this is our moment, and we really need to capitalize on it.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'd really build to emphasize the many different subgroups of our society who face disparities and unequal healthcare access. You know, we focused initially on race. There's ethnicity, there's socioeconomic status, there's geography,
gender identity. There's all sorts of
gender identity.
So we need to diversify our disparities issue. That means we need all of your submissions. Anything that does highlight unequal treatment, healthcare disparities, inequalities, we'd love to see it.
And, you know, I think another point to emphasize is that while the issue is focused, you know, centrally around the original research, I think some of our really great content came from the On My Minds and came from some of those thought pieces that even talked about issues related to the pipeline. You know, how do we put people into the workforce? So really a broad focus on the types of articles that we'd like to include in this issue.
Absolutely. And one thing we've learned is really tough problems require a multitude of diverse solutions. So On My Mind, perspectives, original research, basic clinical translational policy, advocacy, all of these things are important to help us attack really is what I see as one of the most troubling problems in medicine today, especially cardiovascular medicine.
Yes, and you know, I'll just reiterate, as editors, we are honored to be able to take in these pieces. We are also pleased to invite a guest editor for this special issue, Dr. Fatima Rodriguez from Stanford University, to also provide her perspectives. And so please reach out to any of us if you have questions, comments before submission, but we look forward to receiving your submissions.
Absolutely. And please remember, the due date for submissions is January 5th, 2022. So please send them on in.
Thank you.